Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope you're having a lovely day. One of the things that I talked about yesterday is how the United States is releasing a piece of legislation that, in my opinion, undermines the foundations of the internet and your civil liberties as a human being. One of the other things that I notice is that anytime the US introduces a piece of legislation that's horrible, it's not uncommon for the UK and the EU to follow suit. In the words of the late George Carlin, when they see that the United States is doing something horrible, the UK and the EU will chime in and go, "Bullshit, that's our fucking job!" And they do. So recently you have, with Signal, they threatened to leave the UK if this legislation was passed because it is essentially a complete end run around end-to-end encrypted messaging. They are not going to give away the keys. They are not going to allow the UK government to decrypt Signal messages because they don't even have the ability to decrypt Signal messages. They're not going to do that. And there's another piece of legislation in the EU called the Chat Control Bill, which is, as you can imagine, a complete dumpster fire. This is horrible in many ways. This is not going to be used to protect the children. The research that is in does not demonstrate that most of the flag content has anything to do with protecting children, and it's just bad all around. And one of the things that I find interesting here is the difference, because in the United States, when you read that bill that I talked about yesterday, these legislators are not stupid. They know what they're doing. They're screwing over the American public to give the American security apparatus more ability to spy and more control over what Americans can see on the internet. They know what they're doing. They're not dumb. They may be against the American people, they may be against the interests of your average citizen, but they're not dumb. When you read that bill, it actually goes over and covers everything, and it is very technically literate. The EU, on the other hand, I have no idea how this woman sets her alarm clock in the morning. I mean, oh my God, I went over this in the last video going over the right to repair bill, just how ridiculous EU regulations and EU regulators are. But this is a complete meme. I don't understand how these people tie their shoes in the morning, much less run a group of nation states. So we're going to be looking over an interview that was had with Eva Johansson, a EU commissioner that is in charge of this major piece of legislation that has the ability to massively upend the internet. And we're going to be going over just how stupid she is by reading some of what she said in this interview. So I'm not going to read the entire thing. I'll be honest with you, I can't read the entire thing because I've tried to do this video 2 or 3 times and it winds up making me so worked up and angry that I just have to stop the video. So we're only going to go over the points that I think are the most important. First one, she also said, if you're on Signal and you want to send me a link of an interesting Svenska Dagbladet article, when you start typing the address of the article, a picture of the article pops up, and that's because they're scanning the conversation. There, meaning Signal is scanning the conversation. Firstly, a link does not pop up the moment you just start typing the article. That happens if you copy and paste the article in there and then hit enter. Secondly, the Open Graph preview is generated locally. It doesn't send the URL to Signal servers. She actually thinks that Signal is already scanning your messages. The source code to this is all public. If she wanted, she could review the source code and see exactly how it works to see that Signal scans nothing. But this person, who is a top-ranking EU regulator in charge of creating this legislation, has no idea how the program that she is citing actually works. Another comment. It's about sniffing, checking out, you could say. It's not as if you read the communication. I mean, it's like a police dog being able to smell if there's something there. So when referring to encrypted communications, she's comparing that to being able to smell a bag but not see what's inside. You can't smell an encrypted communication. It's either encrypted or it's not. You can't sniff end-to-end encrypted communication without looking at the communication. This woman is a fucking moron. How the fuck did she get elected to be a major EU regulator? This is insane. Again, at least the people that we elect are corrupt, but they're not complete morons. This person is corrupt and a complete moron. That risk will still exist of false flag material. It would be minimal, I should say, but nonetheless, it will be there. And that's why I've included a special security measure so that no reports go directly to the police. Rather, they'll go first to the center we're going to create against the SAFC, and that's like putting a filter in to preclude other material, which is not abused, such as the example you've just cited, unusual though it was, from cropping up. But if it should happen, I've put in such a filter, you could say, so that it does not go to the police. So firstly, during investigations, 80 to 90% of mainly existing material has found to be incorrect flagging. Over 3 out of 4 times, it is incorrect flagging. Why would you feel more comfortable with a large EU center reviewing private communications than the police? Such an organization would be a colossus and completely impossible to operate in a safe manner. If organizations can read private communications, sooner or later it will be leaked. This is why data gathering is dangerous. This is why it's incredibly important that end-to-end encryption won't be forbidden by law, says the writer of the article. And I agree with them because this makes no effing sense. At the very least, I'm not saying I want the police reading all my private communications. Screw that. There's no way in hell I want that happening. But if that was going to be the case, the police, at least there's like oversight, there's supposed to be methods for accountability versus some other private organization reviewing my private communications. No. Her next quote, and again, it really does get better with each passing quote. My bill is not about encryption. It's not even mentioned. The bill includes nothing to do with encryption. My bill is technology neutral. This is not a bill intended to break or even weaken encryption. That's the important thing. It doesn't specify any particular technology. Neither do we exclude any specific technology in the bill. Eva Johansson says that it's not about encryption, and in the next breath says that encryption isn't excluded. She says it's not about encryption, but encryption isn't excluded. In other news, I'm opening an organization that regulates restaurants. It doesn't mention food, but food is not excluded. This person got elected. The last part of this is by far the worst, and let's just get you ready for this dumpster fire. Can I just ask you one thing, Eva? If that happens under this bill, would you and I be able to have contacts in the future? If, for example, you feel that you want to blow the whistle on the European Commission and contact Svenska under source protection regulations? And would we also be able to have encrypted contact that the authorities are unable to read with this bill? Eva, yes, that goes without saying. But if that's the case, won't all pedophiles be able to use the same encrypted contacts? And then what's been gained? Eva, no, but the thing that SA of C, pictures of such, is always criminal. Andreas, but if you and I will be able to encrypt our communications, then surely pedophiles will be able to encrypt theirs too. Eva, if that material is shared, may be that it is detected, that material. Andreas, but then isn't it encrypted? Eva, but it's not as if you're able to read someone's communication, and there are techniques to detect without breaking the encryption. I think it's important that we defend the possibility and the right to encrypted communication, but that does not mean that we should say that as long as we use encrypted communication, we will not take steps to apprehend CSA. Andreas, I'm a technology idiot, Eva. This is how I understand it. If you send me pictures and encrypted documents, the authorities will not be able to read them. But if pedophiles send abuse images to each other, the authorities will be able to read them because there are technological solutions for that. That's how I have understood it. Have I understood you correctly, Eva? No, you haven't. You can make a comparison. Because encrypted communication today is scanned by the companies. They scan all communications for viruses. So if you're on Signal and you want to send me a link to an interesting Svenska article, when you start typing the address of the article, a picture of the article pops up because they're scanning it. And that's to make sure you aren't sending me any viruses. What the fuck? There's no virus scanning in Signal. Okay, so you can see the image, but isn't it encrypted? Carl Immel, opponent in the debate. Would you like to come in here? Carl says, that's not even how Signal works. The way Signal works is that if you get a preview, it's because your Signal client from your device is taking a picture of the website and including it in the message that's being sent. Signal has no access to this information. Eva, but that's not what I'm saying. Carl, you said that Signal works that way, which it doesn't. And that is the end of it, because if I read or listen to any more of this, I will lose my mind. This person has been a politician in the EU for 3 years, and they're this fucking dumb. Why would you vote for this person? Why? This is a complete fucking moron. This is not even about, it's not even a question of corruption anymore. This is the stupidest person that I've ever read about having anything to do with regulating software. And they were put in charge of creating a bill that could end end-to-end encryption on the internet as we know it. And they don't even know how a fucking messaging app works. Are you serious? Get this person out of office. Vote somebody in that's not a complete fucking moron. Or get... Why? Why? Why?